What's up, guys? Alright, today we're not going to be doing the rings. We're going to be doing the what is it called? Plastigage, the bearing clearances, torquing on the crankshaft, and girdle and all that stuff. Also the oil squirters. As you guys can see, my 4 oil squirters for the pistons are not in there. The machine shop took those out so they can clean everything. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And I got the new bolts today for the main, I got the new main bolts today. Anyway, first things first, we're gonna go ahead and put the bearings in here, put the crankshaft down. Also, I'm not going to lube up anything because we're just measuring the clearances. Don't turn the crankshaft or anything because you will, score up stuff and you don't want that. So just gonna set the crank in here, torque everything down with the Plastigage, and just kind of measure the clearances. And I'll show you guys how to do that. And then afterwards, we're gonna take it all back apart, take the crank off, and then lube up everything, and then put it back down and torque it back down with the new bolts. I'm gonna be using the old bolts just for this little clearance test, just so I don't stretch out my new OEM Nissan bolts. And yeah, all right, I've got to kind of hurry because the sun is going down, and there's blitz. So anyway, these are the oil squirters. There's no way to put these things in because they have like a little thing. Basically just set them right in there. And there's 4 of them, like I said. So actually, I take that back. There's going to be 2 of the same, basically 2 different ones, 2 different directional ones. But other than that, they pretty much just go right in, just like that. And then obviously you're going to have bolts. I'm doing this now because I don't want to have to try to reach in there whenever the crankshaft is in there. So anyways, just gonna go ahead and do it now. The bolts are these little things right here, and the torque that everybody, so the FSM does not mention a torque value for these things for some reason, but everybody does them between like 20 and 25 foot-pounds. I'm gonna do 22 foot-pounds just to be right in the middle. And yeah. All right, guys, got the bolts in. Gonna go ahead and torque it down. Torquing it down to 22 foot-pounds. Oh fuck, hold on, I got to put on the brakes. Put on the brakes. Okay, next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna want to clean off and wipe down these journals here, make sure that there's nothing on them. And then after that, you basically just make sure you find the right one, line up the pinhole to the pinhole in the journal, and then there's also this little tiny tab there on the outside, and I'll show you how to put it down. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off all 4 of these, or 5 of these, and then we'll go to the next step. All right, so once you've got the journal clean, like I said, make sure it's fully clean, and then you basically sit this down, let's see, straight on there, and then you just push it down. Push it down until both of these ends are level with the where the bolt hole goes. And there you go. And then also this thing's going to line up as well as the oil hole, and you're just going to do this for all 5. Number 3, this middle one, is going to be the this kind of bearing right here. It's got like a big lip on the side of it, but it's the same process. So I'm going to go ahead and do all 5 of these, and then I'll show you guys once it's done. Alright, so now all of the bearings are in, all 5, the 4 normal bearings, and then this the king bearing or whatever it's called, I forget, but so all those are in. So now what you're gonna do, and this is only if you're Plastigaging, you're not gonna lube any of this stuff. If you want to put just a little bit of oil just on the bottom so it doesn't scratch anything, go for it, but you don't lube anything. Set the crank in, don't turn anything, don't turn the crank. And then the next step, I'm not going to show you guys setting in the crank because it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and unwrap my crank here, and then set it in. So yeah. All right, so I got the crank set in place, and then what you're gonna want to do is get your Plastigage kit right here, and pick whichever one you're using. I was just reading on my phone. I'm pretty sure the stock clearance is supposed to be around 0.020, 0.02. Let's see, 0.025 millimeters. Hopefully I didn't get the wrong one. Anyways, I'm gonna look this up again, and then but basically what you do, put the little strip of Plastigage on there, on there, on there, on there, and on there, and then you're gonna get your girdle right here. Make sure you clean it off. You're gonna put the other side of the bearings in here on the bottom side of this, and then you're going to torque it down 20, 40, 60, pull it back off, and then I'll show you what to do next. Also, I just did the conversion. 0.002 inches to millimeters is 0.050 millimeters. So I'm going to be using this big red square right here, 0.051. It's pretty much the same thing. If it's a little bit off, it's not too big of a deal. Just can't be too much off. But I'm going to go ahead and check this and hope for the best. All right, as you guys can see, I got the Plastigage on there. I don't know how well you can see it. It kind of blends in, but got them on each one. This one was kind of tricky. And so now what I'm going to do, also I got the bearings in. So I'm going to go ahead and set this on top. Like I said, do not grease it or anything. Set it on top, torque it down, 20, 40, 60. Boom, 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 boom. You know the sequence. And then we're going to pull it back off and check them. All right, going to go ahead and torque these down. Like I said, 20 foot-pounds at first, and then we're going to go up to 40 and then 60. How about Okay guys, quick little clarification. Do not go to 60 foot-pounds if you're on stock main bolts. If you're using ARP, then it's 20, 40, 60-ish. Stock bolts are, you do still want to do the sequence, but only go up to about 40 to 41 max foot-pounds of torque. I thought 60 sounded weird, and over here on my paperwork I wrote down 40, and I just looked it up, and that was it. So the FSM says 40 foot-pounds of torque for your main bolts if using OEM hardware. Alright, so just torque this down to 40 foot-pounds. Going to go ahead and loosen it. You're going to do the same sequence that you did to tighten it. So boom, 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 in a sequence, and then take it off, pull off your girdle, and then you should see your Plastigage sitting on your crank journals. Alright, and once you pull off your girdle, you're going to see little Plastigage marks on each one. And then you basically get your little piece of paper here. Like I said, I'm going to be going off of 0.051, and that's not exact, but that's, you know, very, 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 very close. So as you guys can see, that is literally the exact same width, just about. I'd say that that is within spec. Go to this one. That's the same way in spec. Also, depending on how centered they are, like see, like this one right here is a little bit off center, so obviously it's not going to push down as much. That one, that was a little bit smaller, but like I said, it's not centered either, so I'd say that one is more 0.076, but like I said, it's not centered, so I'm gonna look that one up and see what that goes into as far as inches go. This one looks good, it's centered. This one right here, done right there, looks good. That one looks good too. So the only one that looks a little off is the one that's not centered, which, you know, which makes sense. I'm not even going to worry about that, because if it were centered, I believe it would be pushed out. So But as you guys can see, that's kind of what you do. You just want to kind of verify that all the clearances are within spec, and they are. So what you want to do though is make sure you get all this stuff off of your bearings and off of your crank, because it's actually on both. And actually looking at it, it actually does look better on the crank. But so what you're going to want to do is pull your crankshaft out very gently, and then once you do that, you're going to want to clean off those bearings, clean off your crank, and then you can basically lube everything up and then put the crank back in. I'll show you guys lubing it up. Alright, so go ahead and lube up all of your bearings, and make sure your crank is nice and clean, no dust or dirt on it. Make sure you lube up that. Don't lube up underneath the bearings, otherwise you will spin a bearing. So, alright, so once that's done, you're going to go ahead and drop the crankshaft back into place, and then put your girdle on, torque it back down with your new bolts, 20, 40, stop at 40, and then, yeah. Alright guys, finally got all this stuff back together. Took everything off, cleaned everything like 10 times, and then I just bolted it back up with the new bolts. I did 10 foot-pounds, and then I did 20, and then I went all the way to 40. And then I stopped at 40, obviously. And so yeah, once you're done with everything, you know, just make sure that the crankshaft can spin. As you guys can see, this thing spins nice and easy. You know, it's not... It's easy. It's supposed to be easy, but it's supposed to have a little bit of resistance. It's not supposed to be hard to turn. So this thing's done, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip it back over, and I'm still waiting on the new piston rings and my ring filer, which those should be here any day really, either tomorrow or the next day. I'm gonna try to get this video uploaded tonight, which is Monday, or Tuesday at the latest. So hope this was helpful. You're also going to have to Plastigage, or you should at least Plastigage your rod bearings as well. So I might possibly show that. I will definitely show you guys, you know, installing the pistons and rods and stuff like that. But everything's back together, like I said, and pretty excited. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this engine back up so it doesn't rust, or so, you know, debris and stuff doesn't get in it. And I'm about to head out of here because it's starting to get cold and it's super dark. So I'm gonna leave. What do you think, Blitz? Blitz is ready to leave. He's just been he's been on guard dog duty for the last like hour. So, and there's a couple people asking about him. He's 2 years old. He actually just turned 2, so he's still a little puppy. Well, he's a big puppy, but he's a good dog. So anyway, got to close up all the shop doors and everything, and then get on out of here. So see you guys in the next video. Peace.